Anyone can buy a new $1,200 snow thrower, but for less than $200, you can rebuild an older Craftsman track snow thrower and make it better than new. The most common problem with these snow throwers is that the tracks and the snow thrower itself will not move. The issue is that the axles are made of mild steel that rusts after a few years and stop the wheels from rotating. While you can clean the rust from the axles, the problem will persist when they start to rust again. The cure is to buy 2 feet of 5/8 inch OD by .495 ID stainless steel tubing and make new axles that will never rust. Cut 4 lengths of tubing, 4.56 inches long, with a hacksaw and carefully file the ends square. Using 1/2 inch by 6 inch bolts as the inner axle, make sure that the axle tubes slide easily on the 1/2 inch bolts. Or if you have access to a lathe or machine shop, you can make new axles from 5/8 inch stainless steel rod. Either way, it's worth the cost and effort, as the axles will never rust and stop the wheels from turning again. While the bogies are disassembled, it's a good idea to drill each plastic wheel and install a grease fitting for easy wheel lubrication. Another common problem with these snow throwers is that the main axle bushings are bronze and are prone to wear out and disintegrate, causing the drive gears to disengage and not move the snow thrower. My right axle bushing was okay, but the left bushing was long gone, and the axle wore a 1-inch slot in the metal housing and was cutting into the axle. While not easy to install, I replaced the bronze bushings with heavy-duty ball bearings from the surplus center. Before you make any modifications, determine where the bearing mounting holes need to be drilled. With the axle bushing still installed, slide the new bearings into position, mark, then drill the 2 5/16 mounting holes on each side. These new bearings require a large 2-inch hole for flush mounting. If you have a 2-inch Greenlee sheet metal punch, use it. Or you can draw a 2-inch circle and cut it out with a saber saw, or do like I did. Drill a series of 1/8 inch holes around the circle, then use a file or carbide burr bit to clean the rough edges. In case you cannot determine where to drill the bearing mounting holes, I have the dimensions that work for mine at the end of this video. Once the bearings are installed, clean and reinstall the drive axle. My snow thrower now rolls silky smooth. My third issue was almost a deal breaker. The drive shaft roller bearing had disintegrated and was seriously cutting into the drive shaft. I broke the drive shaft in the process of trying to remove the pulley. If your drive shaft is bad, you may be able to find a good one on eBay. I chose to make a new one. I measured the length of the broken shaft and machined a new one using a 5/8 inch stainless steel rod. I cut the hex section from the original drive shaft and drilled it out to 5/8 inch ID. I then had it welded, both ends of the hex, to the 5/8 inch rod. Note that the hex is case hardened, so you will only be able to file down any excess weld and not the hex itself. Once the welds are filed flat, make sure that the aluminum drive plate moves freely in the hex. Using a Dremel tool, I made a new keyway in the drive shaft. I then replaced the bronze bushing and the roller bearing with new ones from Amazon. But after seeing how small the roller bearing was, I decided to supplement the wimpy bearing with an additional outboard bearing. I bought a beefy 5/8 inch ID by 1 3/4 inch OD ball bearing assembly and made a bearing holder. I bolted it in place and then had it welded. Note that if I had to do this again, I would just buy the bearing and holder and bolt it in place. Also note that your bearings may be different than mine. I have 2 Craftsman track snow throwers that look exactly alike but have different bearing styles. The other snow thrower has just one 3-inch long heavy-duty bronze bushing and no roller bearings. While everything is disassembled, now would be a good time to replace the rubber drive wheel, assuming it's well worn like mine was. Since I was this far into the rebuild, I decided to replace the auger drive shaft bearing. Removing the pulley is the hardest part, and I have seen videos of people using heat and even cutting off the pulley. I decided to try to remove the pulley using a steering wheel puller, and it worked for me. I drilled 2 holes in a solid metal pulley hub, then tapped them 1/4 20. Using 1 1/2 inch long 1/4 20 bolts and a steering wheel puller, I was able to remove the pulley without damage. The auger bearing is expensive at $42. While I had the auger out of the housing, I sanded and painted the housing and auger with Eastwood rust encapsulating paint. The Eastwood paint is expensive, but if it really stops the rust, it will be money well spent. I also made 2 rubber scrapers and mounted them to the second stage impeller blades, which helps throw the snow further. I reassembled the snow thrower and have used it flawlessly 3 times this year. I am sure it will provide many more years of dependable service and will likely outlast me.